In the gentle rhythm of our daily lives, we often find ourselves holding on to moments that have passed, to people who have moved on, to dreams that have shifted like sand through our fingers. We grip tightly to our expectations, our plans, our very sense of how things should be. Yet in this holding, in this constant grasping, we discover not security, but suffering. The ancient wisdom of Buddhism offers us a different path. It whispers to us about the profound freedom that comes from learning to let go. Not the letting go of defeat or resignation, but the letting go of wisdom. The letting go that opens our hearts to the natural flow of existence itself. Imagine for a moment a river flowing through a mountain valley. The water doesn't struggle against the rocks in its path. It doesn't fight the curves and bends that shape its journey. Instead, it flows around obstacles, finding its way with grace and persistence. It moves with the landscape, not against it. This is the essence of letting go, moving with life rather than against it. The Buddha taught that all suffering comes from attachment, not from love, not from caring, but from our desperate need to control and possess. When we attach ourselves to outcomes, to people, to our own ideas of how life should unfold, we create the very conditions for our own pain. We become like someone trying to hold water in cupped hands, watching helplessly as it slips away, growing more frustrated with each drop that escapes. But what if we could learn to be like the riverbank instead, supporting the flow without trying to contain it, present and steady, yet allowing the water to move freely? This is the art of non-attachment, being fully engaged with life while holding it lightly. The concept of impermanence, known in Buddhism as anicca, lies at the heart of this understanding. Everything in existence is in constant flux. The seasons change, our bodies age, our thoughts arise and pass away like clouds in an endless sky. Even our deepest emotions, whether joy or sorrow, are temporary visitors in the landscape of our consciousness. When we truly understand impermanence, we begin to see that trying to make anything permanent is like trying to stop the wind with our bare hands. The cherry blossoms that bloom so beautifully in spring are precious precisely because they don't last forever. Their brief flowering reminds us that beauty often lies not in permanence, but in the fleeting nature of each moment. Consider how a master gardener tends to their plants. They water and nurture each seedling, providing the best conditions for growth. Yet they don't try to force a flower to bloom before its time, nor do they attempt to prevent the natural cycle of growth, flowering, and eventual decay. They understand that their role is to support the natural process, not to control it. This same wisdom applies to our relationships with others. When we love someone, our instinct is often to hold them close, to keep them exactly as they are in this moment. We want to preserve the feeling, to make it permanent. But people, like flowers, must be allowed to grow and change. True love means supporting someone's journey, even when that journey takes them in directions we didn't expect or desire. The practice of letting go doesn't mean becoming indifferent or disconnected. Rather, it means learning to love without possessing, to care without controlling. It's the difference between a closed fist and an open palm. The closed fist can hold nothing new, while the open palm can both give and receive freely. In our modern world, we're constantly bombarded with messages about taking control, about making things happen, about bending reality to our will. We're told that success means having everything go according to our plans. But Buddhist wisdom suggests a different kind of success, the success of flowing with life's natural rhythms, rather than fighting against them. Think of a skilled sailor navigating the ocean. They don't try to control the wind or the waves. Instead, they learn to read the conditions and adjust their sails accordingly. They work with the forces of nature, not against them. Sometimes this means changing course. Sometimes it means waiting for better conditions, and sometimes it means accepting that the journey will take longer than expected. The same principle applies to our inner landscape. Our thoughts and emotions are like weather patterns in the sky of consciousness. Sometimes there are storms, sometimes gentle breezes, sometimes perfect stillness. The wise person doesn't try to control the weather of the mind, but learns to navigate skillfully through all conditions. When difficult emotions arise, anger, sadness, fear, our tendency is often to push them away or to get lost in them completely. But the middle path of Buddhism suggests a third option, acknowledging these emotions without being overwhelmed by them, allowing them to be present without letting them define us. Like clouds passing through the sky, emotions are temporary visitors that don't need to become permanent residents. This understanding transforms our relationship with suffering. Instead of seeing pain as something to be avoided at all costs, we begin to recognize it as part of the human experience. The lotus flower, sacred in Buddhist tradition, grows from muddy water yet blooms in pristine beauty. It doesn't reject its muddy origins, but transforms them into something magnificent. Similarly, our difficulties and challenges can become the fertile ground for wisdom and compassion. The practice of letting go extends to our relationship with our own identity. We often cling to fixed ideas about who we are, what we're capable of, and what our life should look like. But just as everything else in existence is impermanent, so too is our sense of self. We are not the same person we were 10 years ago, or even yesterday. We are constantly changing, constantly becoming. When we hold too tightly to outdated versions of ourselves, we limit our potential for growth and transformation. It's like trying to wear clothes that no longer fit, uncomfortable and restrictive. Letting go of rigid self-concepts allows us to embrace the natural evolution of our being. This doesn't mean losing our sense of identity entirely, but rather holding our identity more lightly. We can honor our past experiences and current preferences while remaining open to new possibilities. We can be both rooted and flexible, like a tree that bends with the wind but doesn't break. The Buddha once said, "You only lose what you cling to." This profound statement reveals the paradox of attachment. The more tightly we grasp something, the more likely we are to lose it, not necessarily in a physical sense, but in terms of our ability to enjoy and appreciate it fully. When we're constantly worried about losing something, we're not truly present with it. Consider how this plays out in our daily lives. When we're overly attached to a particular outcome at work, we might become so stressed about achieving it that we lose sight of the joy in the process. When we're too possessive in our relationships, we might create the very distance we're trying to prevent. When we cling too tightly to our plans, we miss the unexpected opportunities that life presents. Letting go doesn't mean giving up or becoming passive. It means engaging fully while holding the results lightly. It means doing our best and then trusting the process. Like a farmer who plants seeds with care and attention, but understands that the final harvest depends on many factors beyond their control. The practice of non-attachment also applies to our thoughts and beliefs. We often become so identified with our opinions and viewpoints that we defend them as if our very existence depended on them. But thoughts, like everything else, are impermanent. They arise, exist for a while, and then fade away. New information and experiences naturally lead to new perspectives. When we hold our beliefs lightly, we remain open to learning and growth. We can engage in discussions without feeling threatened when others disagree with us. We can change our minds without feeling like we're betraying ourselves. This flexibility of thought is not weakness, but wisdom. The ancient Zen tradition tells of a master who kept his most precious teacup on a high shelf. When asked why he didn't use it more often, he replied, "I consider it already broken." This wasn't pessimism, but profound wisdom. By accepting the impermanent nature of all things, he was able to appreciate the cup fully without the anxiety of potential loss. This perspective can transform our relationship with everything we hold dear. When we truly accept that nothing lasts forever, we can love more deeply, appreciate more fully, and worry less about the inevitable changes that life brings. We can enjoy the sunset without mourning that it will soon be dark. We can celebrate a child's laughter without sadness that they will grow up. The practice of letting go is not something we master overnight. It's a gradual process, like water slowly wearing smooth the rough edges of a stone. Each time we catch ourselves grasping too tightly, each moment we choose to release our grip just a little, we move closer to the freedom that comes from non-attachment. Sometimes letting go feels like loss, and that's natural. We may grieve for the dreams that didn't manifest as we expected, for the relationships that changed form, for the versions of ourselves we're outgrowing. This grief is not a sign of failure, but of our deep capacity to love and care. The key is to allow the grief to flow through us without getting stuck in it. In the Buddhist understanding, letting go is ultimately about recognizing our interconnectedness with all of life. When we stop trying to separate ourselves from the natural flow of existence, we discover that we were never separate to begin with. We are part of the river, not standing on its banks, trying to direct its course. This recognition brings a profound sense of peace. We no longer need to carry the impossible burden of controlling everything around us. We can rest in the knowledge that we are held by something larger than ourselves, the vast, interconnected web of existence that supports all life. The art of letting go teaches us that true security doesn't come from controlling our external circumstances, but from developing an unshakable inner peace that remains steady, regardless of what's happening around us. Like a mountain that remains unmoved by the storms that rage around its peaks, we can cultivate a center of calm that no external turbulence can disturb. This inner stability doesn't mean becoming emotionally numb or disconnected. Rather, it means developing the capacity to feel deeply while not being overwhelmed by our feelings. We can experience the full spectrum of human emotion while maintaining our equilibrium, like a skilled dancer who moves gracefully through complex choreography while never losing their balance. As we practice the art of letting go, we begin to notice subtle shifts in our daily experience. We might find ourselves less reactive to minor frustrations, more accepting of unexpected changes, more present in our interactions with others. We start to move through life with a quality of ease that comes from swimming with the current rather than against it. The wisdom of letting go extends to our relationship with time itself. We often live as if we could somehow save time, control time, or make time stand still. But time, like everything else, flows according to its own nature. When we stop fighting the passage of time and learn to move with it gracefully, we discover a different kind of richness in each moment. This doesn't mean becoming passive about our goals and dreams. Rather, it means pursuing them with what Buddhists call right effort, energy that is focused and sustained but not desperate or grasping. We can work toward our aspirations while remaining open to the possibility that the path might unfold differently than we imagined. The practice of letting go ultimately leads us to a profound trust in life itself. Not a naive trust that everything will always go our way, but a deeper trust in the wisdom of existence. We begin to see that even our difficulties and disappointments serve a purpose in our growth and understanding. Like a river that encounters a boulder in its path, we learn to find new ways around obstacles rather than exhausting ourselves trying to move them. Sometimes the detour reveals landscapes we never would have discovered on our original route. Sometimes the delay allows us to arrive at exactly the right moment. Sometimes what seemed like a setback becomes the foundation for something even better. In the gentle practice of letting go, we discover that we lose nothing essential and gain everything that truly matters. We lose the exhaustion of constant struggle and gain the energy that comes from moving in harmony with life. We lose the anxiety of trying to control the uncontrollable and gain the peace of accepting what is. We lose the loneliness of separation and gain the connection that comes from recognizing our place in the larger whole. The art of letting go is perhaps the most practical wisdom we can cultivate. It serves us in our relationships, our work, our creative endeavors, and our spiritual growth. It helps us navigate loss and change with grace. It allows us to love more freely and live more fully. As we sit in this moment, we can feel the natural rhythm of our breath, flowing in and flowing out without any effort on our part. We don't need to control our breathing for it to sustain us. In the same way, we don't need to control life for it to support us. We can trust in the same wisdom that moves our breath, that grows the flowers, that turns the seasons. The path of letting go is not about becoming empty or indifferent. It's about becoming spacious enough to hold all of life's experiences with equanimity. It's about developing a heart that can break open rather than break apart, expanding our capacity for both joy and sorrow, love and loss. In this spaciousness, we find a peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances. We discover a joy that isn't contingent on getting what we want. We uncover a love that doesn't require possession. This is the gift of the art of letting go. Not the absence of caring, but caring so deeply that we're willing to love without conditions, to give without expecting return, to be present without needing to control. As the ancient wisdom reminds us, in letting go, we don't lose anything real. We only release our illusions of control and separation. What remains is what was always there, the vast, open awareness that is our true nature, the peace that surpasses understanding, the love that connects all beings. In this understanding, we find not emptiness but fullness, not loss but liberation, not an ending but a beginning. The art of letting go opens us to the infinite possibilities that exist in each moment, inviting us to dance with life rather than wrestle with it, to flow with existence rather than fight against it. And in this flowing, this dancing, this gentle releasing of our grip on how we think things should be, we discover the profound freedom and peace that the Buddha pointed toward so many centuries ago. We find our way home to the present moment, to our true nature, to the unshakable peace that has been waiting patiently within us all along.